Hi, welcome to another episode of the FM Channel podcast. I'm your host. I'm Claudio. I'm one of the also the co-owners of Alex Young Recruitment. I'm excited because today we've got our first HR leader on the podcast, Lynsey Storm. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. So just as a reminder to anybody who hasn't listened or anybody who hasn't listened before, the FM Channel podcast is basically conversations that I have with people from the FM industry so they can share their story, how they got into FM, into the industry and what their journey was in a bid to inspire people who are getting into the industry or people who are already in the sector. So before we go into your journey, Lynsey, can you just tell us what you do now and who you do it for?
Absolutely. So I am the Executive Director of People, Culture and Shared Services for Platinum Facilities and Maintenance Services. So my job really oversees all of the people and cultural side of our business, making sure that we are bringing together responsible management tools to drive positive culture and positive change in our business so that we're servicing our clients appropriately. I also look after a number of our shared service functions, such as our bid functions, so that we're hopefully putting ourselves together to in front of our clients in the best light that we can with our documentations and our marketing, and also our service centre. So again, customer experience. So it's all about culture, whether that's internal or external. That's what I do.
Excellent. So you've not always been in the FM sector, have you? You kind of. So tell us, how did you, before you got into the FM sector, how did you get into HR? Where did it start for you then? Where did the journey start?
So it's a bit of a peculiar journey for me, I suppose. So I went to university, I did a biology degree with an intention that I wanted to go and be a marine biologist. This was my plan. Wanted to learn all about the great white sharks. Very peculiar. So how I got from there to here, although there's plenty of sharks in our industry, so maybe there is a relation. I finished university, realised that there's absolutely bugger all money in pursuing the career I wanted to pursue, and fall into a recruitment industry. I had friends that had come out of university and went and worked for a local large recruitment company. I joined them to start up an internal graduate recruitment team. So going out and basically traveling around the country, meeting graduates, presenting to people at universities about working in different STEM industries. It was all technical. Trying to introduce them to engineering careers, working with colleges to try and bring more people into STEM sectors. That then progressed to internal recruitment, which then progressed through to HR. It's sort of just transitioned very naturally for me. Worked within that sort of recruitment, sales, professional services sector for about 14 years. So my whole career has always been about customer experience and culture and progressing people and developing people. And then moved and worked in construction, so house building, which was really interesting. Massive FTSE company, gave me a huge amount of different skills, and then fell into FM as a result of that. And I suppose as a bit of an offshoot, we're sat within the construction industry, so there were an awful lot of similarities. And again, being very customer facing and customer driven, it's sort of been a good fit.
Yeah, brilliant. So you started out in recruitment then. So at what point when you were doing the recruitment did you kind of think, I want to evolve and go a bit more into the HR side?
Well,
And did you enjoy recruitment all those years ago? It's a tough old gig.
It's a tough old gig, but my job was never, I suppose, pure recruitment in the way of going out and cold calling or any of that, that really challenging side of recruitment. Mine was always about developing relationships with candidates and bringing them into the business as candidates that we could then place with our clients. And trying to encourage more people into the sort of STEM sectors. So I really enjoyed the industry. It's really fun. It's really fast paced. It's very pressure driven. I like working under pressure. But thankfully never really had to get too involved with the sales side of things. Did a lot of client interaction, but never that really difficult, challenging cold calling piece that people forget is so tough for
Yeah,
consultants.
yeah. It's not. And I think that's what sometimes gives, I think, maybe our industry a bit of a bad name is, you could be a hiring manager and maybe get probably 12 calls from 12 different agencies in one day.
Mm.
And if you're that 12th person,
Yeah.
got to help you.
It is really tough because I try and really balance not being rude to cold callers, but it's really difficult sometimes because you absolutely are. I get it. I'll probably get upwards of 20 emails a day from recruitment agencies that I don't have relationships with, sending me speculative CVs and all
Yeah,
sorts of things. And it does get really frustrating because you do get to a point of just wanting to go, "Oh, for goodness sake," but
yeah,
then you've got to remember this is what they're paid to do. This is their job, and we've got to respect them for
yeah.
their endeavours. But it's difficult being on, having been on both sides of the coin, it's difficult always
Yeah.
to stay balanced.
So that you did the recruitment piece,
Mhm.
went more into HR. At what point did you kind of say, right, this is the direction I want to now go in? Because obviously you started off with university biology, realized that wasn't for you, went into, did you kind of pick recruitment and HR, or did you kind of how did you fall
Yeah,
into
I
that?
just literally completely fell into it. I needed, as a lot of people do coming out of university, I needed a decent job. I needed to pay my bills, no longer could take student loans out. So I had some friends that worked in this agency and they sort of put me in touch and I got the job. I really enjoyed the job because it was really fun. It was
Yeah.
just free driving up and down the country, going to careers fairs, doing presentations to groups of students, hiring out student union bars and taking them all out for drinks and stuff. So there was a
Yeah.
lot of really fun that went with that job. It was after I had my first daughter that I realised that I needed to change. I needed a move from the company. I'd been there 8 years, but I also wanted more opportunity to move to a different direction, I suppose. Um, and it was then in the change of company that actually then I started moving towards the HR perspective. And I think I've been really lucky over the course of my career is that I've had some fantastic managers that have seen more in me than I probably believed in myself at the time.
Okay.
I've been really, really lucky. And certainly in this sort of second job I went to after graduating, where I stayed for 7 years, I think I stayed there.
Yeah.
It was very much the managing director of that company that was really sort of behind me and backing me and helping to push me through developing in HR and doing all my qualifications and getting some really great coaching and mentoring throughout that time period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so how many years have you been in HR then?
So probably just over 20 now.
20 years. And how has
Well,
it
I want to
changed?
say how old I am now, Claudio. You're going to trap.
No, it wasn't an indirect question. I would never do that. So how has it changed from when you first started to
So
now?
much,
Yeah.
so much. I think, if you flash back to sort of 20 years ago, you could basically take the human out of the role.
Yeah.
It was very transactional. There was so much mitigating of risk and just doing the minimal. Nowadays, it is all about making sure that that employee journey and that employee experience is right. It's completely different strategy, coming forward now. Everything that we do within our people and our culture area of our business has to be completely aligned to the business strategy, to the targets, to the goals, because fundamentally, without the right people doing the right things, everything else falls over. And I think it's really, for me, I would say probably only in the last maybe 7 or 8, possibly maximum 10 years, that business owners, people that run the businesses, have really started understanding the importance of human resources and what we bring to the business. We're not here to stop companies getting sued. Well, we are, but that's not key function anymore. It is now about actually how do we bring the right people in? How do we retain the right people and develop them so they're high performing? And without doing that, we're not going to achieve the business strategy, the business targets. So it's really, really changed, and it's made the role a lot more interesting. And it's funny to see so many things on LinkedIn. I'm sure you see them as well. But HR isn't your friend, and and it kind of infuriates me because I think what people don't see is how much human resources professionals do behind the scenes to make their journey better. And it's never going to be perfect, but every single person working in this field strives on a daily basis to protect the people. And the ones that really get in trouble are the ones that really aren't behaving appropriately in the first place.
Yeah, completely. And do you know what? It's funny you should say that because I'm going to look on here. I saw a post on LinkedIn yesterday. There's a chap, a guy called Christopher Rainey. I don't know if you know him, but I think he works within HR. And he said HR is one of the toughest jobs that looks easy. And so
Yeah.
many people, and so much more than people think. HR is one of the toughest jobs that looks easy. Here's why. From the outside, it seems simple, but on the inside, it's a maze of challenges. Balancing employee needs and company goals, navigating difficult conversations, Grace, handling crisis and staying calm and composed. I guess, can you relate to that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's not even talking about the transactional stuff, is it? The day-to-day, normal stuff that we have to do. Think about payroll and pensions and benefits and, all of
Yeah.
those other things. Yeah, it's a really interesting job. It's a really complex job. And it is one of those jobs where, you are expected to be a lawyer and to know everything. And
Yeah.
that's what makes it so fun.
Yeah. And do you have to keep all your, because I know you do is it the is it CIPD or CIDP?
CIPD, Chartered Institute of Personnel Development. Yeah.
Is that something that you have to keep up to date as well, or is it kind of once a qualification that you do and then you keep it for life, or does it does it evolve and have to keep updating?
So yeah, it can evolve. There's different levels you can do. So you can go through sort of associate member, and then you get up to the F, which fellow. There you go. I can't remember what it was called, fellow. But yeah, as part of that accreditation, you're meant to keep on track of your PDPs. So on a personal level, what else are you constantly doing to upskill yourself? Because in theory, at any point in time, they could come and do a little assessment to make sure that you're still warranted having the accreditations and the qualifications.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't, because we're all so busy just getting through our day to day. But yes, in theory.
Yeah.
But I do think it's one of those careers you can't help but continuously develop. There's always changes. I mean, look at all the things that the Labour government have brought in, all the different changes to employment law that are going to happen very, very shortly. The amount of preparation we've got to do for that. On 26th of October, new rules came out around prevention of sexual harassment. The preparation that we have to do for that, for the business, but also for our staff, because it's not just tick boxing. Oh yeah, I can demonstrate to a tribunal we've done this. It's actually, can I stand in front of the court and say we did everything we could to prevent these persons being treated unfairly? And so, it's always evolving, it's always changing in
Yeah.
business.
Is the times when there's new laws that have come in or regulations that have come in and you thought that's a bit of a headache, or that you disagree with?
Disagreed with rarely. Oh my goodness, that's a headache frequently.
All
Yeah,
the time.
absolutely. I mean, I flash back to, gosh, when was it now? 2017, 2018, GDPR coming in.
Oh.
Heck. I think every person that was senior in a business at that point in time just wanted to crawl under their desk. But so is it for the right reasons? Is it to protect the people? Absolutely. Is it a complete ball ache for companies? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and some of the things that the Labour government are bringing in, fantastic for the people, an absolute nightmare for companies. Even their recent national insurance fake rise. Yeah, I understand why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I think everybody can, but the knock-on impact that it has on companies is,
That's massive.
it's massive. Yeah.
And so how different has HR been for you in the different industries that you've been in? For example, you're in FM and maintenance now.
Yeah.
And you're a senior leader there at Platinum. How does it compare? Do you have different issues within our industry compared to other industries?
I don't think we necessarily get too many different issues. I think so. Same as in construction, what is always a bit more challenging, but a lot more interesting and fun, is the volume of remote workers that we have.
Yeah.
It is so much more of a challenge to build a consistent, high-performing culture when you're dealing with so many different remote groups of people. It becomes really, really difficult. You find there's an awful lot of subcultures that do evolve. And to bring those messages through is very difficult. It's a real challenge. I think probably the biggest challenge in FM is that you've also got the remoteness of number of people, but then you've also got the building managers and the clients on site with those people. And we are such a 2P heavy environment that
Yeah.
it is really, really challenging at points to go, no, look, it's not just a new pay slip and a new badge on your logo. Actually, we want to bring you into our values. We want to bring you into our culture. And you get a fair amount of resistance sometimes, especially if you've got people joining you from new contracts you've won that, they were with that company for 3 years, and then they were with another company for 3 years, and then they almost become a bit tired of it.
Yeah.
So trying to sort of reignite that and get them re-engaged into a new company is challenging. It's great and it's fun. But yeah, that gives a whole different perspective to what we do and how we try and face into the challenges and strategies around that.
Yeah. We hear that a lot as well from on our side in recruitment. I think it's engineers do have said to us before, they don't care who they work for, because like you say, there's a lot of cheaply involved and there's a lot of movement in the industry. And I've had times when engineers have said, oh, it's the same shit, different t-shirt. And it's a shame, because you think there's so many companies like Platinum and CBRE and CTS that are all out there and all offering the same service to clients, but they want to be different as well. And also how they treat it and stand out differently, and I get that everyone's trying to do something a bit different for their people, and culture is a big thing. And it's tricky. I think, like I say, engineers, guys, 'cause it's male dominated on that front, they get a bit tired of it, and they end up kind of, and I think that kind of fuels, it's like self-perpetuating. It almost fuels this kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, where people just aren't lack of loyalty to their employee, and if they're not having a great time, they're very well, I'm just going to leave. I can find something else. Doesn't really matter. Wear another t-shirt,
No, absolutely. And we work really, really hard to do that. Certainly in my team, we're very responsive, we're very reactive. We try and make sure that we're on site frequently enough, with full open door policies, but we've got a really good retention rate. So when, on the unfortunate event that we might lose contract, we have a really high success rate of retaining people. It's not foolproof. Sometimes we can't move people to other sites, but it's something we work very, very hard on, because good people are hard to find, and we are in a massive skill shortage industry as well. So we've got to try and do something different. But you are right. There are some people out there, and you can completely understand why, that almost just don't. They're just not interested.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? So what's so how long have you been in the FM industry now?
Oh, just over 4 years.
4 years. And how's it been? How does it compare to other industries that you've worked in? I suppose construction is probably it was a nice transition, I guess, coming from construction.
Yeah, there were lots and lots of similarities.
Yeah.
Within construction, though, you don't necessarily have clients, more so customers, if you like. So again, there's a big difference there. From my perspective, I love the extra layer of the clients that we've got. It's brilliant to go on sites and to be able to meet our clients and to understand their sort of ambitions, and to be able to work with them, whether that's working with them towards their own sort of SDG targets or social value goals, or their own sort of ambitions with how they are then represented through our workers. It's brilliant. I love it. It's a really, really great change and transition. I did it before I joined Plan, I'm sort of thinking, gosh, contracting as an industry, that is going to be a bit challenging. But I love it. It's great. Actually, all the things I thought would be a challenge absolutely are, but they're an enlightening challenge, which is good.
Yeah. So it keeps things going. So you
Yeah.
mentioned your job title, you're in charge of like people, culture. So culture's like a bit of a buzzword nowadays. I think it's also a word that gets bandied around a lot, quite loosely. What does culture mean to you as an HR person today?
I think I'd probably rather answer that from the perspective of what does culture mean to Platinum at the moment, if that's all
Okay.
right. Sorry, that sounds awful, doesn't it? Because I think
No, not at all. Because that's where you are. That's where you're trying to instill culture with your workforce
absolutely. I
now.
think it's one and the same thing. For us, we've been on a massive journey at Passion over the last just over 12 months to bring to life what we call our responsible business strategy. So for me, culture isn't just about have a free day off at your birthday and we'll provide you fruit. That's not what culture is. Culture runs a lot deeper than that. So actually,
Right.
what we want is people to feel good about their job and to understand the good that they're doing in providing their service. So we look at everything from a materiality perspective. How are we benefiting the the people we work with? How are we benefiting our clients, our partners, and how are we benefiting the planet? What are we linking to our SDG goals that we work against, and how can we feed that all down to people so that they understand that everything they do is benefiting our key 3 pillars at Platinum, which are people, planet, and partnerships. So
Mhm.
every single person has cascading objectives, we call them, clear objectives that feed directly into our business objectives, directly into our plan, which are measured against our SDG targets. So for me, what culture means is that you've got the right people in the right seats, behaving in the right way, understanding that they're doing good, not just in their job, but good for the wider society. So for us, culture's a huge journey. It's never ending. It's not something that you pick up, you start and you finish and you put your project down. It's a constant evolution.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about that behavioural piece and that communication piece and how we can really get all of our people doing the right thing, performing well, and feeling good about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. And so I'm guessing, obviously, with Platinum, it's a maintenance business. There's a lot of guys that work on the ground, on the tools. With mental health being, I guess, in everyone's kind of sight nowadays, and it's kind of it's obviously talked about a lot, and it's common knowledge that guys don't like to open up too much about how they're feeling and stuff. And you've got that challenge, and then the fact that you might have engineers who are not always on site; they're kind of here, there, and everywhere. They're remote people. How do you kind of open the door to those guys and say, listen, if you need to talk about stuff, and is that must be a challenge on its own, right? I don't know whether if that's kind of changed over the years, whether you do get people coming to you saying, listen, I do need to actually talk to somebody, does that happen?
Yeah, we do. We get a lot of people
Yeah.
we have a very good open door culture here. So a lot of people will message us and go, can we have a chat? We want, pick up the phone to me, pick up the phone to my colleague Helen, and they'll open up. We put in lots and lots of things in place at Platinum. So we've got 10% of our staff are trained mental health first aiders. That includes the whole layer of senior management and senior leadership. So it's acutely, or we're all acutely aware of signs to look out for. We ask all of our managers to do weekly one-to-one check-ins. As part of that is the first part, and we have quite a structured set up for our weekly one-to-ones. And that first 10 minutes is very much open up. It's about you talk to me, what's going on with you, what's happening in your world, how are you doing? We expect our managers to look for triggers. We've got a fantastic intranet communication system whereby they've got anonymous ways to contact us. Click of a button, can you call me? I need a chat. And these things come through to us automatically. We do lots and lots of comms throughout the business about mental health. So we do as much as we can, but you are right. There is still, and I think probably will always be, a stigma on it. It's one of the, it's the same as any illness or any disability. If you can't see it, people find it hard to believe or understand, don't they? But we're working very hard internally at Patalon to make sure that we're open, we listen, and we support and we help and we consign those people in the right way. Got a fantastic, as most companies do, so I'm not saying we've changed the world, a fantastic EAP system where all of our staff get access to free counselling sessions. So we do as much as we can. We would never treat somebody differently for having, needing time off, for being unwell with poor mental health. And I think it's those sorts of things as well that resonate through the business when they see that somebody's had some difficulty, somebody might have had time off, but actually what we do is we support them coming back. And so we haven't, at no point, a lot of other companies will almost create that culture of fear, goodness, if you show some weakness, then there's the door. We're very much not like that.
Yeah. That's good to hear. So from your point of view, you've been obviously in the FM and maintenance industry now for over 4 years. What do you, whether an HR perspective or other, what do you think the FM industry could do better?
I think we need to embrace technology a little bit more. I think the world that we're heading into, data-led maintenance, we need to look at sort of AI a little bit more. And I think the world will start to change. We can have a huge impact on sustainability. I think we all need to be doing more on that. I think the other thing is just what actually as a whole industry we've got to do is come together and get more people joining our industry. I think the last stats I was reading were about 56,000 people a year shortfall of people joining our industry. So, as a whole industry, yes, there's all these fantastic things that we're going to do to change and improve from a sustainability planet perspective, but actually flipping heck, we're all stuffed if we don't start working harder to get people in the door and get people joining our industry from other industries, or get more people coming through graduate schemes or apprenticeships at the early days.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what? I mean, I talk about this all the time because I've been in recruitment in the same sector for 22 years now. And when I joined it, I was told, this is the desk, this is what we do, this is the industry you work in, you're going to recruit for maintenance engineers. There's a lack of maintenance engineers. There's a real gap. There's a skills shortage. And 22 years on, I'm still saying the same thing to people. Their managers are saying the same thing to me, that there's a huge skills shortage in the industry. And from my perspective, from where we're sitting, there's a massive skills shortage from a mechanical engineering point of view. The best mechanical engineers that are out there now are probably in their late 40s, early 50s, going through to kind of like mid 70s. They're the best mechanical engineers. And that sounds like it's a bit of a sweeping statement, but I feel like all the engineers that are coming through now to get their certificates, they're going for electrical. And I can see why. I think city and guilds don't help, because they do lots of fast courses that you can do in 10 weeks, and people come out, say, I'm a qualified electrician. They're not. Obviously, apprenticeships stopped many years ago, and there are loads of businesses like yours as well are doing more apprenticeships. That's great, but there is this huge gap of engineers in the middle, and I feel like we're always trying to plug gaps for clients, and clients are trying to plug gaps as well. But I'm always saying that we need to, and I think more needs to be done to get people into the industry, whether that's going to schools or universities. I don't know, what do you guys do, that kind of thing? I mean, what are your kind of plans to try and attract more? What can we do to attract more people to the industry, do you reckon?
So we already do. I mean, we're only a medium-sized company. We give or take sort of 200 headcount. So realistically, there's only so much that we can do.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, no, we do. We go to local colleges. We attend careers events at local colleges. We take on work experience. So in the last 12 months, we've had 7 or 8 different work experience people, young people, come in and actually experienced the facilities industry in different facets, whether that's been from a sort of management perspective or administration through management perspective or a technical perspective. So we do as much as we can locally with local colleges to try and support and encourage people in. And I think we've just got to keep doing that, because we don't, as an industry, actually, gosh, our industry, there's so much exciting and good stuff that we can talk about, but we just don't sell it. We really don't. As an industry, I think we're utterly rubbish at really raising our own profile. It's almost those hidden market bases, isn't it? But we've all got to do it together. Platinum can't fix this, but actually, if we all come together with some of the monsters, the CBREs, the Mighties, actually we can make a really big difference. But I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, Claudio. I mean,
You think so?
Oh, well, I think so. Picking up on what you said, I was reading some stats. I'm doing a panel with at the facility show next week, and so I was just doing a little bit of research actually over the last few days. And one of the papers I was reading was the Engineering Construction Industry Training Board, that says that by 2026, which, let's be honest, is only really a year away, we're going to lose 20% of our engineering workforce through retirement. So, and if that is a true fact, well, we're sure as heck not gaining 20%. Through new people joining our industry or changing industry to join us, so I think it's going to get tougher before it starts getting.
That's a real good point, especially if you're saying there's a 56,000 shortfall, and then there's going to be 20%. That is really interesting stat. Actually, it is quite worrying, I suppose. Really.
Yeah, but little changes make a big difference. So I think if we, companies smaller than Platinum, companies the same size, and companies much bigger than Platinum, if we can all keep working through this endeavour, and I suppose if you go back and think 20 years ago, what was the big push? It was driving women into STEM industries, wasn't it? I remember, being a really big ambassador for that movement years ago when I worked within the recruitment sector, and still am a big ambassador for it, but, really pushing, how many women can we drive into these sorts of industries? And I think the change now is still nowhere near it should be, but you can see how much it's improved from where it was sort of 20 to 25 years ago. And I think if we can all start doing a little bit more, we've just taken on 2 new apprentices. We've got another one joining in a couple of weeks. And I think it's got to be on people's overhead budgets. It's got to be a focus for all companies, that we've got to start growing our own talent, retaining our talents, and also understanding that career paths don't have to be linear. We can embrace those squiggly career paths. So, actually, if you've got the right people with the right behaviours, we can give them the skills, we can give them the training. So let's embrace that a little bit more. And I think we're still quite an old-fashioned industry that, we want somebody that's always done this, that's got this one set qualification, and that's all we'll look at. And we've got to broaden our mindsets a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with you on that. I think one of the challenges that I've always found, one of the things that frustrates me within recruitment is when a client will say, right, we need an account manager, an account director, so quite a senior position, is to run a hard services contract. So they need to be an engineer. They need to have an engineering background.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I disagree. I understand it's always been done like that, and I understand having that knowledge is brilliant. But at that level, you're not the person on the tools. You're not the person managing the guys on the tools. You're kind of client relationship building. You're doing the P&L. You're doing all the other pieces around it, which somebody who's not an engineer can also do. You're kind of vetoing people who have got 15, 20 years experience in the industry just because they're not an electrician or a mechanical engineer by trade. You've got this amazing talent pool, because it's especially, that's what people are going to have to do, right? Because if we've got 20% people retiring soon and a 56,000 people shortage coming in, you've got to use the people within the industry and say, right, this
Yeah.
person is a great manager. They may have, and so many have managed hard services, but they're not. But some companies are just so blind to no. They need to have the technical background. It's like, well, that person will have a contract manager reporting into them, then that person will have a supervisor, and then engineers. They're all technical.
Yeah.
It's not gonna
No.
it's not gonna be the end of the world. And I don't know. It's a bit of a. I know I get some managers who would disagree with me, but there's lots of what's the word? Where you can transferable skills that people have got in the industry that can do it. And
Yeah.
you've got to look within
Yeah,
the industry, not just from
absolutely.
other industries, but within the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had those same battles, as I'm sure every facilities company has. We did those same battles internally, heated discussions about, is this really required? Let's be sensible. And we probably the best part of 3 years ago now, we changed a lot of that. We came away from a lot of that sort of standardized competency requirements and said, for those roles, some roles absolutely you have to have the technical skills and you have to have the qualifications, and there's you can't get around it. But certainly for exactly what you're talking about there, those account manager roles, we completely strip that out. Do you know what? It's not. It's about the client management. It's about the continuous improvement. It's about the people management. And actually, if they can do those things and they've got the right behaviours and they're gonna fit and embrace and help us develop our culture. As you said rightly, they've got layers of technical people underneath them. As long as they
Yeah.
can understand the principles, we wouldn't expect any of our account managers to be getting their tools out. And actually, if they were, we've got a really big problem. With our structure is clearly wrong, and we're not allowing people to do their jobs.
No,
So I
absolutely.
completely agree with you.
Yeah. That is a tricky one. That is, yeah. Those stats that you just, I'm kind of like shocked by those
Yeah.
stats. But you're right. I think if everybody pulls together, because I think everybody knows that there's a skill shortage and it's tricky. But yeah, what baffles me, not baffles me, is that was taught this when I first started 22 years ago, and now I'm telling everybody there's a skill shortage. It's still there. It's like, oh my God, nothing's been done. I mean, businesses are definitely doing more apprenticeships than they were when I first started, which is a good thing. I think now one thing that I see from a recruiter's perspective is that businesses are good at now doing the apprenticeship piece, but they're not retaining them, because we get sometimes a lot of apprentices that come to us saying, I'm still seen as the apprentice. They won't give me the salary that everybody else is on. I know that I could go elsewhere and get it, and they're not willing to give it to me. I don't know why businesses don't do that. So step
No,
up. You've now done the 4 years. You've invested in them. Give them what they're worth, because they're going to go and get it elsewhere. You've put it in. I mean, I know it's good. They're feeding the industry, but then you're losing out.
no, and that we're absolutely, for us, all of our apprentices, none of them get fixed on a site unless it's directly related to the client wanting somebody.
Yeah.
All of our apprentices, they're always rotated around different sites. They get a wide range of experiences in different environments with different assets. It's really, really good experience and exposure for them. But we absolutely do, once those qualifications are done, this is, here's a choice of the sites. Often it's vacancy dependent, if you like, where we might have a gap. But here's a choice of sites. Which one do you feel is going to help you grow? And great, super. Now you're an engineer and your package matches that. Because exactly as you said, Claudio, otherwise they're just going to go, well, I'll go down the road. And we know how hard it is to recruit people. We've just invested 4 years in these people. Why not would we want to risk them going elsewhere? So
Completely.
no, definitely try and take the approach of, actually now it's about retaining, because
Yeah.
we brought you up. Now we want to see you grow.
Yeah, completely. And then you get that loyalty, then they stay. Not everyone will stay forever, but you don't want to train them up and then see them leave the minute that they've got their certificates, their qualifications.
Madness. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Lynsey. Good luck next week. When are you talking then?
Monday.
On
Yeah,
Monday.
Monday the 2nd. I think it's at 1:30. I should know that off the top of my head by now.
Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah.
You don't want to be late. Brilliant. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you,
And
Claudio.
maybe I'll pop down and listen to you talk on. Are you good at? How are you with public speaking? Have you done it before?
I have done it before, but it's not something I do particularly regularly.
Yeah.
No, I think I will. I just try and not
Yeah.
embarrass the business, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be fine. It'll be good. For something that you know about, I'm sure you'll be great. But listen,
Well,
it's been
it's a nice one because we're on a panel, so it's not just me. There's people we can bounce off, so it should be good.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you just look at somebody else and palm it off onto them?
That's exactly it.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks for your time. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much.
Take care. Cheers.